Welcome to the Fempire podcast for women building empires where your health, relationships, and wealth rise together. Here we focus on what moves the needle the most. I am your host, Jessica Joy. Let's sharpen the axe and dive in. Welcome. Today, we're talking about what actually works for women's fat loss when you're prioritizing their metabolism and hormones, which is honestly what you must do if you want to lose the weight for good and also feel good on the way. And I have brought a very special honorary guest. This is our head assistant coach, Lindsay Hanks. She's been on our team for 3 years. She actually was a registered nurse for 10 years, still holds her credentials, was in the ER, so she knows how to be very efficient. As a mom, she's been coaching health, fitness, body transformation, and hormones for the past 7 years, has been on our team, thank goodness, for 3. And not only does she bring so much expertise around hormones and metabolism and workouts, but she has an ability to meet women where they're at and really help them. It's that growing edge of helping them expand into who they can be so they can get the result for their health and body. But it's an art and a science that Lindsay has. And we're going to talk about, because she's been in the thick of it. She and I have been coaching for years. We know what actually works for women's fat loss in a way that we're never compromising hormones and metabolism. So Lindsay, welcome. So happy you're here and excited to share the truth with people so they can cut the confusion and learn from you and me and all that jazz.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. So let's start from the top. So let's talk about this nursing background, because this is something unique that you don't get in a lot of health coaching. So what do you see differently than an average coach would see because of that background?
It's really like a blessing in disguise almost, because I can look at different symptoms, I call them, because it's, that's what I do in a clinical setting, is what symptoms you present to me. So like if you come to me and tell me I'm feeling X, Y, and Z, and we know, and I've worked with you long enough and I know that your nutrition's on point and you're getting your workouts in, then I can kind of, while I cannot diagnose, I can go, okay, cool. So maybe we have some underlying things so that I can direct you to say, okay, we need to address this. It also helps when we're talking about women's hormones, because you bring to me blood work and I'm going to be able to give you a really accurate reading of like, okay, this is where we're at. This is what we need to shift for the foundation before we can even start to get into those little nuance pieces. So it really helps me to kind of overall see the bigger picture of stuff. And to be able to see it from not just a holistic health coaching lens, but from the Western medicine lens as well, to be able to kind of marry the two.
Yes, I really do feel like they're a balance of both. And your artwork, the blood work analysis that you do is, again, it's that combination of art and science where it's like there's the science and then there's the woman who needs to make the changes. And that's really being very connected to these ladies. When it comes to catching things, because you have such an extensive medical background and working very hands-on with people, what are some of the things that you catch where you feel like you can really fine tune that maybe somebody who hasn't had your level of experience, especially medically, can do? Like, what would other people miss that you're like, oh, I see that?
I think that really plays into like if you were to get specific with it, with like peptides and GLPs. So like those have become common language in our industry. It's very common language among people in the weight loss community who are looking for, how do we get off that, the weight a little bit easier, or how do we help jumpstart things? And so I can really look at and bring, okay, cool. So you're starting this medication, you're coming to me on this medication. How are you actually feeling? So I can get to the nuance of, okay, is this part of like, maybe you shouldn't be on this particular peptide or GLP? Do we need to come off of it for a little bit and maybe lay a foundation? And so I can see that bigger picture, because so many of those GLPs are actually meant and initially prescribed for diabetes. So like, are we feeling a certain way because maybe our blood sugar isn't fully stabilized because we haven't nutritionally fueled in all of those pieces? And I'm really able to kind of get that big picture and then narrow it down to go, okay, what are we actually looking at and what actually needs to shift before we just start throwing everything at it?
Exactly. It's our take on coaching is always we need to prioritize the foundation. And then you can pair it with strategic peptides taken
Hmm.
in cycles for a specific result with an exit strategy.
Yeah.
Right. And my last podcast was a little bit of a rant or expressing frustration around not having a foundation paired with peptides. It's a
Mm.
disservice to people. It
Yeah.
can actually hinder more than help.
Hmm.
But foundationally looking at, okay, where's their nutrition? Where's their workouts? How's sleep? How's stress? We've
Yes.
even had a few clients who they're really excited about getting on a GLP, but their body's just too stressed. What makes somebody like a good candidate for a GLP? And what is somebody that you'd like, okay, let's take a little bit more time to prime you. So this is actually a benefit.
Gosh, that is a loaded question
Yeah.
because I think like I don't know. I think every person is unique in that aspect. Like, how do I know you're truly ready for a GLP or a peptide in general? On the basic foundation, like you have to be confident in your nutrition. And I don't mean you have to be an expert. What I mean is that you have to be confident in being able to make changes. So you could be new into this experience and not have tracked a lot, but you bring a level of confidence, a level of I am completing this, not I hope I complete this, right? So you have to have that kind of confidence in your nutrition. And I say specifically nutrition because nutrition is paired directly with our peptides. When we don't have a foundation of nutrition, you're not going to see the results that you think you should see on that GLP or that peptide. And that's where people are like, I want to come off of it, or I came off of it and gained all that weight back. Great. Did you lay that nutritional foundation? So that's first and foremost, like you have to feel confident in your nutrition. The second piece is you have to have some movement. Strength training is key. But if we are starting from the ground up, you have to be confident in your movement. If we don't have that there, or it's again, I will get it done, not a I am getting it done, we have to have those conversations. And then I think the third piece to really like just nail it home, which comes to that whole mind, body, and soul piece, is your stress levels. A overly burnt out, stressed woman who may have the nutrition and workouts complete, but that her stress is through the roof. So we don't have stress management in place, is not going to benefit from a peptide because your body has to be in a receptive or receiving mode and not a defense mode to be able to get what she needs from the peptide. Because if we continuously live in a fight or flight state, which so many of us do right now, and we don't have the tools in our toolbox to bring those cortisol levels down naturally or to have some stress management, doesn't mean no stress. It just means do we have it slightly controlled? Then again, I would say we're not going to start a GLP or peptide because we need you to work on those three foundations. Can you have two of them and work on one? Depends on which one it is. Like I just said, if your stress is through the roof, but your other two are great, I'm probably going to have you bring some stress down first. But we can definitely, obviously those three can be interchangeable and how we need to navigate that. But yeah.
Yes. It's how we coach and how I see an actual solution for women to have true great health now and long term is these foundations, understanding movement and what is actually quality strength training, not quantity, like
Mm-hmm.
quality, understanding nutritional needs. And one of the gifts of coaching, especially with you when it comes to stress management, is so much of this is sourced from our psychological patterns, whether somebody needs to start setting boundaries, communicate with people in their household, have those
Mm-hmm.
tough conversations of what support really looks like and what's not helping. And we need to have a boundary around this. Like, please.
Yes.
It's honestly such a gift to build that foundation for yourself. A lot of the stress management is a lot of the mindset work. And what are the, like, do you feel worthy of, taking this time, energy, money for yourself? So there's no way around the foundations. And then pair that with peptides or a GLP. Obviously there's all kinds of peptides, but GLPs, like, it can really help accelerate. But I think it's such an important piece that those foundations are developed. They're strong. I'm curious when it comes to some of the stress management. Obviously, you have to start with assessing everybody's situation, and that's part of the coaching is like really understanding what are their stressors, what are their patterns. Do you see some commonalities? Like for the people listening, it's like, man, I see this a lot with women, and here's how we help get on the other side of it.
Wow, I think women are overworked at this point, and I mean that across the board. Like, but whether it's our careers, our personal life, we've over the last few decades have really shifted how we are presenting ourselves in society, and so our stress levels have not caught up to that. So, meaning we have not learned how to manage that as effectively. So, as somebody who is a millennial, we know millennial burnt out is a true thing, and I think a lot of our ladies who are currently working with are in that same age bracket or around thereof. Some are a little older, some are a little younger, but we're all kind of generally in this bracket of we feel so burnt out because we feel like we have to get every single thing done every single day and it has to be perfect. And so that's kind of the mindset that society taught us. And it's learning to break through those things. We're not expecting perfection. We are not expecting everything to get done every single day. And we are rewiring that thought process of if we don't actually pour into ourselves first and foremost, whether you are a mom, I am a mom, so I speak from experience, whether you are a wife, whether you are, a community leader, it does not matter. If you do not pour into yourself first, you are not going to be able to consistently show up in the level that you expect from yourself. So you may be able to do it for a little bit of time, but then you're going to find that you're exhausted. You have no energy. You're not, you are maybe have breakouts. Maybe you are feeling all of these different symptoms, but you don't understand why because you haven't poured back into yourself. Being able to really figure out how you need to dynamically look at your day. And I say that because a day is not stagnant. Your day is very dynamic. Dynamically look at your day and how to make those adjustments, even when you may be a mom or maybe a community leader or a full-time career woman, you have to know how to dynamically adjust and say, I'm taking 2 minutes. I got to go breathe for a second because it's vital for me to be able to show up for this incredibly important event, right? And so if we can't figure out how to do that, then that's where the big breakdown's going to be.
Yes, I like the term dynamic. In describing the day, it's like that ability to pivot, pause, and our theme of the month is to not self-abandon.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that little moment, that little decision where instead of, tuning back into yourself, what do you need? You're like, nope, we're just going to take care of everybody else. Nope, we're going to make them comfortable. We're going to prioritize them. It's those, I like that it's not just about structuring and planning, which of course is important, but it's also that ability to pause and pivot. And like you said, adapt, like with the dynamic life. You do a great job of helping them look at their day and their week and creating space, because a lot of people, it'll be hypothetical. Okay, and we put it on their calendar. It's like, hey, you're doing lower body Monday and upper body Wednesday, etc. But some people, it's like it gets pushed back and then it doesn't get done. What are some things that you do to help them create the space, whether it's time blocking, like take us into this. Like, how does your brain work to helping them create consistency when there isn't?
So my first one, because most of our women are moms, which is why I reflect back to this piece, is that I ask them, would you want your kid to push something off? If your kid comes to you and says, I don't have time to do this, but it's important to them, are you going to give them an excuse and allow them to excuse themselves to push it off? Or are you going to show them that they are a priority and that they are able to show up for themselves? Do you want them to be somebody that cannot pour into themselves? Because essentially you are first and foremost the example to your children. So if you are not able to demonstrate how you want them to be able to prioritize themselves by prioritizing yourself, then you're not going to, it doesn't matter the tool that I give you. I could give you time blocking. I can give you all of these pieces, but the big piece is that if you are not able to understand that one key aspect, no tool is going to help with that. And I think that's where as moms, we have a really difficult time because we want to give our kids everything. So we want to make sure that they have everything that they need, their tools, their school stuff. Like we prioritize their emotional health, their needs. Maybe our kids are in different therapies. And so we have kids that have chronic health concerns. And so we see, mom gives everything. Mom makes sure that the timekeeping is kept up. She makes sure the schedule is there. She makes sure everybody's on time, but nobody's making sure that mom is okay. And that's where mom has to say, I am a human being too. I have to stop, pause, and realize that if I'm going to learn to time block my day, if I'm going to learn to set aside this self care time, self care being even 2 minutes of breath work, I have to be able to be confident in that. And I think that confidence goes hand in hand with our stress levels. There's different levels of confidence. There is different meanings to that for different people. There's not one broadcast way that I would say that this works best. But I think that before you can even learn to structure your day, you have to be confident in knowing that this is the change that you want for yourself, because you don't want to teach the small humans, things that you don't want them to grow up and then take on to their families. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. And I love that you started with the deeper piece, because we're always, as coaches, we understand, okay, there's actions you need to take, but we're not here to white knuckle and focus just on discipline. Yes, that's a factor, but ultimately it's like, what's driving that behavior? Okay, it's really taking a look at, okay, anything I'm embodying, anything I am the example of, and my kids are gonna, for better or worse, catch that. How are they, until they change their own pattern and do their own work, they're gonna copy. That's like, oh, that's what a mom does. She always says she's gonna so bad, but it's oh, mom always tried to get, healthier. And then it's what is that going to perpetuate? That's another reason that I'm so anti-diet. I mean, I think everybody is at this point, obviously, but it's like, okay, what do we want our daughters to learn?
Yes.
And nourishing themselves, getting workouts, managing stress, like all these things. Also, there you go. Like, look at how you're leading yourself and thus leading so it's a big way of pouring into you is pouring into them. But yes, that absolutely makes sense, where it's like, we need to equate, okay, this isn't just affecting me. This is the example. And then from there, from that place of convicted decision, then, okay, then we can get into actions and strategies and time blocking and whatnot. I think it's so true, because you can't just say, hey, you're going to put your workout at this time and not give them tools to change how they're thinking about it, why they're going to do that. So,
right.
great.
So you have to.
Yes.
And I think that that's where any of those tools come from. Like we were specifically talking about how do we structure our day, but I think that even like how do we incorporate a workout into our day as moms? Like especially if somebody has young kids, how do I break away from them if I don't have childcare? Well, cool. One of the things that I do and I'm good at is I will give you ways to use your kids as your weight or your resistance so that you can incorporate your workout with them. Do we always want it to be that way? No, but we do not all have the same 24 hours in one day. Like everybody's life is very, very different. And if we cannot learn to pivot and be able to make accommodations to what somebody presents to me, then I'm not going to be effective as their coach, because it's not about somebody changing their entire life for a strict structured program. It's let me give you tools. Let me give you the adaptations. Let me give you suggestions for you to be able to make healthy choices for what works for your lifestyle.
Yes. Absolutely. It's so much about everybody's program journey is literally different. There's not one person that's the same, because it really is meeting them where they're at with the circumstances they have and moving in the right direction. You can only change so much at once, but as long as you have made a decision that you're going to show up, we can get you there, type of thing. I'm curious, because moms, we got a lot going on. It's okay. Like, we're amazing. We can learn how to navigate this in a responsible, empowering way.
Yeah.
How do you think having structure and accountability and customization helps them go from, this feels like, I don't know if this is doable, to like, hey, like, this is actually going to happen for me? Like, what does that do for them?
It is life altering. I mean, I've worked with enough women, I think you have too, like, we've done this for a long enough time that when they get the results, because we're customizing or we're making adaptations for them specifically, they're able to see that this is not just it's not just a program. It's how am I changing my life? We don't want them to do this just right now or short term. So this is not a quick fast diet. This is not a weight loss, a quick weight loss, whatever. We want this to be lifelong. And I think that that's where a lot of our long-term clients come in, is because we take them through all of the chapters of what happens. Let's say for a year or 2 years, you've got vacations and holidays and all of these pieces that come up, and everybody's thing looks different. So it's showing, okay, How do I help this busy mom adjust her schedule? Or how do I help her pick foods that are going to be easy grab and go for her because she's got 3 toddlers and got an entire full day ahead of her? So how do we make that adjustment? Same thing goes for a high performing executive woman who is in the office for 8 to 10 hours a day and can't get up from her desk because she has got so much obligation, so many obligations on her plate, or so many meetings, or has so many people depending on her. How do we make that so that it's easily accessible for her? What changes do we need to make, or adjustments do we need to make to help her to figure out where do we get that movement in? Where do we find that stress relief? Where do we nourish our body? Because both are high functioning executive people, just in two very different fields. So you've got your high level business exec, and then you've got that high functioning mom who is a business exec in her own right. And but the lifestyle doesn't look the same. So we have to be able to show up. And when I've made those adjustments, when we've had these conversations, and when we actually have ladies who have the confidence to take into play and to put these things in forward motion, it's life altering. It is game changer, because they now have the energy to want to meal prep or have foods that are nourishing for them, to be able to get more additional movement in, which then changes their body composition. So it's like a whole cascading effect of just maybe changing one thing and having this whole life altering experience when we look back maybe over a year or 2 years that we've worked together.
Absolutely. And it's so exciting to see the numbers increase or decrease. The adherence numbers go up. Like, I won't name names, but we observe everybody's nutrition. And month one, it's like, okay, here's your nutrition. It's like, okay, get the protein. You got this. Come on. Then you're fine tuning ways to help them meet that in a way that they're like, oh, I like this. This works for me.
Mm-hmm.
Then month 3, it's like, dang, this looks pretty good. It depends on the
Yeah.
person, but it's really wonderful to see that adherence, because we know that moves the needle so much as the nutrition piece of it. A lot of ladies come in and, they're doing decent. Like they are fitting in some workouts, they're doing nutrition. It depends on, different people are coming in at different places. Some it's like work has taken a huge priority and we got to get this consistency back, or they've had a massive transition with recently having a baby. Or there's the ones who they're pretty good. Like we can think of a lot of our clients, like they weren't necessarily even struggling. They were at good, but they wanted to go to great to like, how far can I take this? So I'm curious, what are some of the things that you see moving the needle most when somebody's trying to go from like pretty good to like, oh, dang, like these results, how did you do this? Like, you're 40, you don't look like it. What's going on?
Consistency and confidence, all of it. And I mean this more like for like a long-term plan, because obviously I don't expect consistency for somebody, even if they are, pretty good with stuff, to have like perfect consistency from the beginning. But again, I think it comes back to that consistency and confidence. If you are confident in knowing that you are capable of making those changes and that those changes will come, that is where we're going to see the biggest needle mover. I find that when we are more hesitant when we're stepping into something. So I love to say, okay, growth doesn't happen when we're comfortable, right? So if we're going to stay in this nice little box and we're not going to step outside of it, and we're not going to see change or growth. So you have to be confident in being uncomfortable to see change and growth. And so even if it is not something that you've done before, having that confidence to say, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm going to try this. A lot of times you're alone in your home. So it's not like I'm asking you to go to the gym and do some new movement that you've never done before. You can be home, and it's just having that confidence. That, I think, is the biggest needle mover. You can do everything. You can assume, or not assume, you can try to do everything right. But if you're not having the confidence and consistency of continuing to show up and continuing to make changes, then you're not going to see the results. So we could go months and months of working together, but if I'm still seeing the same pattern, even though we've had multiple conversations, then and you're showing a hesitation to wanting to really like step into that place, it's going to be harder for you to have a needle mover. It doesn't matter if I've got you eating more protein or I've got you doing more workouts. These pieces, you have to have that confidence.
Yeah. What would you say is something to build that? Something I see as like I've said 3 times, meeting people where they're at, and it's like this growing edge of following through on that. It's like, can we, and we've seen people build momentum when they have to make fewer decisions. And it's like, hey, we're just going to hit these targets. But let's say somebody's kind of on because some people come to us and it's just like they just need the right strategy and they're going to do it. And then some people, there's some of that inconsistency. I feel like they're kind of on the teeter-totter of like this confidence. And then it's like my weak spots. How did they bridge the gap to build that confidence?
Stacking small wins. So it's making one change. So maybe that first week, we're only adding in one small piece. And once I see that consistently happening, then we can add the next small piece. So it's not saying we're going to make a 10, 20, 30% change. Maybe we're just making a 1% change. And once that 1% stacks to two could stack to four to eight, and then it starts just having the snowball effect. So you start small. That's where when I have somebody who may have some hesitations or may not have the confidence in themselves, we start small. And I take that as, something that I'm decently good at is reading somebody's energy about like, okay, when we have that initial roadmap call, what is the energy that they're coming to me with? How are they feeling with everything overall? And that tells me, okay, so are we jumping headfirst into something that they are going to have that confidence for us to make these initial adjustments? Or do we need to maybe pick one or two things that we're going to focus on? And then each week we add something else to it. And then once we see that snowball, then we can get a little bit more aggressive with things.
But yeah, because it's so easy to get overwhelmed, especially if you're doing things that are cookie cutter. It's like, okay, hit the nutrition, hit the workouts. It's just like, but if we can build this, there you go. And we always like, before we're going to add more, like, let's stabilize what's here.
Yes.
And then we're not going to add more. You're not ready, my dear.
Exactly.
Do that to you. But then on the flip side, when we draw it in, it's like, let's make this strong. You can see the confidence build. It's that feedback loop of like, oh my gosh, I can. Because ultimately, it's like the beliefs are driving all the behavior. And if somebody's coming in and like, sometimes I show up, sometimes I don't. We got to build that. With keeping it simple targets that we know they can hit, help them with the lifestyle, and then get that feedback loop of gathering evidence that they can, because ultimately all these ladies absolutely can.
Yes.
But having it get broke up into pieces, it's like, hey, this is what's going to move the needle. Just hit this. And then, I love when I see people stack those wins. Some people don't even start with workouts. Like, we'll just start with nutrition.
Listen, my favorite win, I think, this week is I had somebody who we needed to get her water intake up, period. So you know what? We play a game. If you're a coffee drinker in the morning, maybe you're a Celsius drinker like I am, regardless, no shame in the game, whatever it is. If you're somebody who wakes up and has something in the morning that is not water, you cannot have that until you have water. And I'll start you out with 2 ounces of water. I'm not even asking you to drink like some massive amount of water. But you will drink something. That is your reward. You can have your coffee, tea, Celsius, soda, whatever it is that is your morning go-to after you have water. So we play a game. That's how we stack those wins, is that we make this, once we have that ingrained in you, then we can go, okay, so then now before you can have something at lunch, you have to have X amount of water before then. So we play a game. It's not, I don't want it to be miserable and just like this tedious experience. But once we figure out how good we feel being hydrated, then great. It's no longer like, I don't have to worry about you drinking enough water. Like, we're there. So
it's like, you just got to get it up to like baseline, and then you feel the benefit. You want to keep doing it, but you have to build that up. That's so funny. I had one of our past clients. She's like, when I'm on the water, I feel so good. Like it was some drug. She's like, when I'm on my water, I'm like, totally. Get on that water. Yeah.
And it's like, and I get it. Not everybody wants to drink water. And will be the first coach to say, if you want that soda, have at it. I'm not going to take your soda from you if that's what you want, because I think that it's important to have balance in our life. But you're going to drink some water beforehand. We will compete with us. Like, we're going to have a conversation so that it feels good, so that, you can see what it's like to have a balanced experience.
Yes. And I love how their feeling good becomes it's like a motivational pull. And that's what we want them to feel like from the workouts, from the nutrition. Okay, I want to do this because it's feeling good. And yes, we're using strategies to transform my body at the same time. I think that's because our goal is women get great results and then they can maintain it themselves.
Yes.
But it's like, it's a matter of changing your lifestyle, and gaining some skills and knowledge around that. I've even had seasons where Lindsay coached me because for a few reasons. First, structure I have a lot going on and having fewer decisions to make. She would design my workouts, she would design menus, and I could be on lock. And with that became more energy for me, more energy for the business, all of it. Like it was a wise investment. Then there were things I didn't know. Like Lindsay is a wealth of knowledge. She helped me improve my nutritional quality. I remember you called me out on a few things I was eating. And I'm like, but Lindsay, 80/20, it's fine, right? She's like, Jess, if you get more, like maybe fewer chips. I'm like, but I'm balancing it in my macros. You're like, well, you're saying you want to lean out. I'm just saying more complex carbohydrates, like even potatoes. Anyway, honestly, I reached a new level with you that I couldn't have done by myself. So thank you. And it was really nice to be in that container. We have different tiers in our coaching, and I wanted to be in each one so I could be in the seat of the client. Plus, you just get massive benefit from receiving coaching from you. I'm like, gee, thanks, okay. And then you would call me out on my lifts, like, hey, you can go heavier, it's okay. Or I'd even complain about certain exercises. And I mean, it's one of the thank you for, sometimes as women, we want to we just want to vent just a moment and then we'll do it. So I appreciate you holding that container, holding the line, because it helped me push past some of my own edges. Anyway, I went on a tangent there, but anything you want to say about that?
I think we all have an edge. And I think that, it's one of the things that I think I see often, especially with somebody who is in their just cycling and like they're expecting a different result, but we're not getting it, is, they're not willing to push themselves, or they're not willing to vent about it and then do something, or just still do it. They want to complain about it and then give themselves an excuse for not to do it. And I think that that's one of those things where having a coach and somebody to help hold you accountable is important, because you're not going to push yourself the way that a coach is going to push you. And I will push. You can, take a poll of the ladies. I will push on whatever level you want me to. Like, I can meet you where you're at, but I'm going to push you enough to make it be uncomfortable so that you can recognize, okay, is this the right answer for me? I think a good example is like, okay, so you're presented with a choice. Do I have that second piece of cake or do I not? I don't care what your answer is, one way or the other. I don't. As your coach, I don't care. Where I do care is that if you say, yes, that second piece of cake, I want it and I'm going to feel good about it, and then you feel good about it, great. I'm going to celebrate that with you. Enjoy that second piece of cake. But if you say no, and then have that second piece of cake and then complain about it, I'm going to say, okay, well, then here's where my 2 cents comes in, is then why did you say okay? Why did you say yes to the second piece of cake when you just literally in your decision tree said, no, I don't want this. It's not going to make future me feel good, and then still had it, and then you're going to complain about it. No, you don't get to complain about that. You chose, that's your choice. I will support you in whatever choice you make, because there's not a right or wrong choice, but you have to be okay with whatever those consequences or results are of that choice. Yeah. And it's when those results are not matching how you want to feel is when you have to understand that a change has to happen, which means you have to get uncomfortable.
Yes. That's one thing I love that you do in the coaching is there's never, not that there would be, any level of shame. It's all helping women lead themselves in a way that they're happy with the decisions that they're making. It's like, yes. And I even remember I had one of those moments where, I had a little overindulgent weekend, and you asked me, how do I feel about it? I'm like, you know what? I really enjoyed it. They're like, cool. And that's the point. Like, my adherence was good enough on the other things that having that moment, there wasn't going to be shame. It's not that you didn't hit your targets perfectly. No. It's like, okay, actually, what's the most powerful way to coach somebody is to give them targets, give them principles, and then how do you feel the next day? Do you feel like that was a good decision? If so, cool. If you're like, I could have tightened up the ship. Cool. Not aligned. What can we learn from this? What was in the gap? Did you fall into a people-pleasing moment? Did you needed to just toss it in the freaking garbage? What do we need to do differently? Which is your own edge. All of those moments where you're looking back and it's pointing you exactly to what you haven't learned yet. That's the edge that you'll have to lean into if you're ever going to change it. Whether that's learning how to have the conversation. So I think you've helped quite a few of our ladies have conversations with whether it's partners or different, or even at work where they need to set boundaries. And you'll even, for certain people, you'll help them frame that conversation. But talk to us about that. Like, how do you uncover this? And how do people go about having these conversations?
Oh gosh. Well, when we decide to share a
Mm.
house with another, I'm going to use house as our example. When we decide to share a house with another adult human being, we very quickly learn that we are not aligned in a lot of ways. And
Yes.
so that is okay. That does not mean it makes you incompatible. What it means is that you have to learn how to communicate. I think I learned a lot of this from my own experiences, but a big piece of this is like, you know, if if this is important to you, so if I have a woman telling me, hey, this is really important to me and I feel like I'm not getting the support from my partner in X, Y, and Z way, then I'm saying, well, have you said that to them? And if you have, are they receptive? Obviously, if they're not receptive, that's beyond my scope of practice. And I say, okay, cool. Here's some modifications that you can do for yourself to make this situation a little bit easier. But then you need to we need to step into this next phase of where we're having a different conversation. But if you have that level of constructive conversations with your partner, then you need to be able to say, hey, this is what's important to me. Even if it doesn't align with them, if they're receptive and they want to support you, it doesn't have to align with them. Your goals and their goals do not have to be the same, but it's how do we make this work moving forward? So we had a client who her husband came to her and said, I want to stop having to drink so many protein shakes throughout the day. I want us to meal prep. And she goes, well, I said, well, did you have that conversation with him or talk to him about, is the expectation that you're going to do all the meal prep? And she said, no, I haven't had that conversation. I said, okay, well, because she said, it's going to disrupt my routine if I have to take all of this on. Yeah. I said, so if it's disrupting your routine, then you need to have that conversation with him and say, hey, I'm okay with, helping with the meal prep or us sharing some of this. What does this look like for you? What are you actually expecting to happen with you telling me about not wanting to drink protein shakes? And so it's just one of those things where, and I've had and this is most women, like most women will say, hey, come to me and say X, Y, and Z, or they want to eat out all the time. And I don't want to eat out. Okay. So where are you guys compromising? Are you decreasing the number of days that you're eating out, but you're also still willing to go out to eat with them? So we talk about how to balance the rest of your day. I have one client in the past who really wanted to, who finally just said, I'm not eating out anymore. They want to go out every single Friday night. And it turned into, I'm just not going out with you anymore. And so her husband and child go out to eat and she joins them sometimes, but it's like, you have to make a choice that's in alignment with how you're going to feel. And so, it's how does it respect the family? How does it affect the dynamic? Because you have to be able to compromise. You have to be able to meet each other there, but it's having that constructive conversation to say, I am equally an adult and this is the boundary that I'm setting. And this is because I need to be able to do this, to be able to feel my best, to show up for you. Like if I'm not able to feel my best to show up for you, then we have a bigger problem on our hands.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Told you, art and a science. Told you she's amazing.
Now, listen, I will also say my disclaimer is I am not a therapist in any capacity. My clients know this. I am very verbal about it. I will give you all of the advice that I know from personal experience. But when it gets to that point where it's, that's beyond my scope, I have no shame in my game. And I will say that is not within my scope of practice. I'm going to need you to go and I will help you find the support that you need. I have done that many times for clients and helping them find support that they need outside of our container.
You have. I've seen it firsthand. It's amazing. So I hope for the people listening, this gives context as to how you truly set yourself up to win, to become consistent with these foundational pieces that are they're just non-negotiable. You can't out peptide good nutrition and workouts and stress management. And the cool thing is once you get these up to, you could say KPI, once you get these up to your routine and you have those conversations and you understand how to do it consistently, the goal is you are strong, healthy, fit for the rest of your life. Like this is an investment intentionally that's designed to pay you back. So long game for the win and understanding, it's like when we see a fitness plan, we think, okay, workouts, nutrition. Now we're thinking peptides. Okay, we're thinking, first off, that's all too vague. Second, it's how do you actually integrate this into your life based
Mhm.
on where you're at, based on the own pushback you may experience in your environment, or, and that's where the value of coaching comes to play, where
Yeah.
we're looking at how, okay, one, like, we'll see blind spots. Like, it's just like, hey, we noticed that you haven't, well, since we're talking about boundaries, it's like some people have not set any boundaries in their life.
Mhm.
They're talking about how drained they are. And
Mhm.
from a coaching perspective, it's just dead obvious. That's just one example of, okay, you can see how they're sourcing everything, but they can't see it sometimes. And even for me, when I had you coach me, I had my own blind spots.
Mhm.
So part of this is coming with a very open mind, and those are the people who get the best results, and it becomes a blast. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, yo, like, I can't believe this week came off. Or, oh my gosh, like, my husband cooked this because I told him, like, hey, here's the things that we're cooking. Like, he's always
Mm.
cooked this kind of stuff, and now I don't have to have lasagna all the time. It's just like
Exactly.
literal nitty-gritty things. So, here's one thing I would love to ask you. What's something you wish more women understood before, like, starting another plan?
Oh gosh. I mean, not every plan is created equal, and not every plan is going to fit for you. And if you are joining something, anything, whether it's this program or any other
Mm,
program, it's that they have to be able to explain to you how they're going to manipulate and adapt the programming for your lifestyle. If that is not the cornerstone, and that is not, then that program is not for you. It's not about perfection. It's not about, making sure that you hit every single thing perfectly. It's not about one bad experience or one thing happening in your day and you feel like the entire day derails you. No, we don't need to restart on a Monday. We don't need to restart on the first day of the month. You can restart if something happens at 8 a.m. You can restart at noon. It's not about going, oh, I'm just going to throw in the towel. It's how do we pivot? How is this fitting for me? Because that's the most important piece. That's what most women need to understand, that it's not one size fits all. This is not, something that is just a template and we push out to people. You really have to know that you're getting in with somebody before you start another plan that is going to fully customize this, show up for you no matter the chapter that happens. Because we know in a 12, 24, 36-week time period, life can happen real fast and a
mm,
lot of things can change. And you have to have somebody in your corner that's going to show you, how do we pivot? How do we still continue to show up for our health and wellness while also pivoting for whatever life may have handed you, whether that is amazing or traumatic? And I think that that's really that key piece.
Yeah, I heard two things. One is it's not even necessarily a plan, it's a decision that you're going to prioritize your health, and come hell or
Mm.
high water, you're going to be showing up for it in one way or
Yeah.
another. And it's so interesting that a lot of people have these preconceived notions of, like, okay, I'm going to be in. We have these all out patterns because of, like, all these past diet protocols, where it's like, okay, you're supposed to check this every single day or you're failing. It's like, that's not actually how it looks. It's more just getting better at the key skills you need to learn and how to fit them in. But it's so interesting after coaching for so many years, how people think, oh, this is a good time to start. It's literally, there's always going to be things popping up. Then there's an injury. Then the family gets sick. Then you have a career change. Then your husband loses his job. Then it's like those external things they're always going to pop up.
Always.
It's like one of my favorite parts is when people stop thinking like, oh, this is a program I'm on, to like, oh, this is how I live. And okay,
Mhm.
it's shifting the identity that I'm like a fit, healthy person. And my husband lost his job. What does it look like to be a fit, healthy person when my husband loses his job, for example? And leading more from that instead of, I'm on a program and I need to check these boxes and now my husband lost a job and I'm just going to fail more. It's just like this huge shift and that's why we coach. It's like, it's helping not just integrate the strategies, but navigate those seasons. Because man, on almost every call I have before somebody starts, they were doing pretty good for a while. And then they hit, like, COVID was the signature one for so long. Now people can't use COVID as an excuse. It's so far back. But it was always some type of life happen moment.
Yeah.
Like, then Then we moved. Then, then whatever the shift was, then we got sick. Then I got this injury and it all kind of went downhill. And the goal is like, we still operate from a healthy identity regardless of the external, and helping people navigate through that. And it's really great how you do that. Like you'll customize things for their travel, or, hey, we need to pivot this plan. Like this doesn't fit you anymore. No big deal. Like,
Exactly.
let's adjust. Like you don't have to force anything because this old plan, we gotta, no, we're adaptable.
Everything changes.
Dynamic.
Yes.
And I also love when people, one of the most common things of feedback I get when I'm talking to clients is like, they never made me feel like bad about it. It's ultimately like they already make themselves feel so bad sometimes for the things they didn't do. It's like, we just got to be curious about, okay, why didn't that happen? Do we need to adjust the plan, or do you have a lesson to learn? Where are we at? All good. It's really a very much an integration, but with smart strategies that prioritize your metabolism and hormones. So let's do one hormone question and then we'll sign off, because this is so juicy and I could talk to you for so much longer. But we'll have to.
Okay.
So when it comes to hormones, oh my gosh, here's my take on it. Here's a curious one. Do you feel like perimenopause is like a total cock block for people's results, or is there so much you can do in that season to see progress with your health and body?
As somebody who is starting her perimenopause journey herself, perimenopause can go ahead and just suck it. I'll lay it out there. That's how I feel about it,
man.
Like it is, perimenopause is not talked about in the medical field or in the health and wellness field enough. Like women's health in general is not. I think that's why I'm so passionate about it. And why I like specifically want to work with women and look at all of how our body changes, because we're dynamic. Our bodies do not stay. Like I realize that yes, men's bodies do change over their decades of life, but let's be real. They are not a dynamic creature when it comes to hormones or it comes to metabolism. We are incredibly dynamic from day to day, not even week to week or month to month. Day to day, we are dynamic. And perimenopause will grab you and will hold on to you and is never going to let go. I say that because your body, once it goes through perimenopause and you go into menopause and you're officially post, your body is not the same as it was prior to all of that. It's not supposed to be one, but we think, oh, let me just get through this. It's not going to be the same. So it's learning how your body's adjusting and changing. I think that perimenopause plays a massive role in how our body is going to respond to a health and wellness program, because we can draw our blood one day and say all of our hormones are within normal limits, and the next day have our blood drawn and our hormones be completely all over the place, because there is that much so many dynamics happening that it can't be the same. And so when our body is shifting and when our hormones are not replying the way that they did maybe when we were in our 30s, before we went into perimenopause, we are not going to lose weight the way that we did before. We're not going to gain muscle the way that we did before. We're now going into this phase where our estrogen and progesterone are almost working against us. Not technically, but I use that way because they're changing so much. There's so many fluctuations. We're having a loss of our bone density. So when we have people who are not getting adequate nutrition and they're not resistance training, we're going to have that consistent bone density loss that started when we were 30. Didn't realize it started when we were 30, but here we are now in perimenopause, feeling not as strong. And it takes a lot more to build up muscle mass because our body is working twice as hard in perimenopause to stabilize those hormones and to just function. We don't process carbohydrates as well. We don't have the energy levels. Our mental health also takes a plunge because our dopamine and serotonin levels change. All of these pieces are working against us. And it's how do we have to love the body that we're in the chapter that we're in. It does not mean that we don't want to change. It does not mean that you don't want to lose weight, but it's looking at your body and saying, what can it do for me? What is my body doing for me? Not I have to do something. It's I get to do something. And it's just that shift in the mindset to start having a more working relationship with your body in perimenopause, because it does take things longer. They are harder. I don't sugarcoat that for clients. I'm sorry. It is one of those things where I'm not going to, make it sound all sweet and amazing. And then you expect something and it doesn't happen. I'm not going to do that to you. I will try to deliver it with as much, fluffy cloudness as I can. But perimenopause is just that. It is a situation in which our bodies make it more difficult because we are transitioning into this next chapter of our life. Because that's essentially what it is. We have the childbearing years, that is a chapter. Then we have this next where we're rearing our children and we're ending that experience. And then when we go into perimenopause, we're just starting the next chapter. Or postmenopause. That's essentially all that it is. And it's how do we understand this next chapter in our life?
I love how you started it with, or the root or foundation is acceptance. Acceptance of this era and, not like we don't want to be in resistance to like, I hate this or my body. It's just more energy going out to places that aren't going to come back to you in a good way.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, let's start with acceptance and see how we can work with this as best we can. I love how you're honest with people. You always are, and you're always conscious of the delivery based on even the person. Some people need some more of a push. Some people need a more gentle touch to help them thrive and show up how in their best. You even helped me with perimenopause. I really had to pull back on my workouts and the duration, the frequency, and then I ended up getting better results, which I almost felt I'm like, this is too easy. Now I just feel like I'm so rude, like literally 3 lifts a week, but my body needed more recuperation time and I would get sore easier. It was like, holy moly, I'd be sore for 3 days after a workout. I'm like, I'm not about to hit lower body again. Like, recovery's slower.
Yeah.
We're working on energy. You're even helping me incorporate certain peptides to support energy consistency in this season. So it's always looking at, okay, being smart about blood work, being smart about foundations, and just working with what is in the most positive way we can. So thank you for bringing all your expertise. Was there one last question I had? Here's one. Okay, and then I'd like to open it up for anything you feel called to share. For anybody listening who feels, I like the word plateau because I don't feel like anybody's ever stuck. I think that's a bunch of BS. You're never stuck. I feel like it's a really disempowering word. But if they feel plateaued, like, they want to make progress, but it's like, what would you say to that person?
I mean, my first response to them is going to be, what are your goals? And then what is your why? Why are you showing up? Because those can change. They are dynamic just like anything else. So you could be like, my workouts haven't changed. I've been doing the same ones for like not exactly the same. You've been doing the same style of workouts for 5 years. Like I'm nailing my nutrition, but I feel like I'm plateaued in this season. Cool. So in 5 years, have your goals changed? What is your why for actually wanting to show up and do this? Those first and foremost have to be aligned with what we're doing. And then we make those adjustments. So if you can get stuck into a solid routine because it feels comfortable, but if it's not starting over with anything, it's okay, what adjustments do you have to make? So it's not about, being perfect. It's going, does this still align with me? Does this still what I want? And if it's not, then we need to get real clear about what those goals are and what that why is so that we can make the correct adjustments. When women say, I just want, like, no, my goals are still the same, but then nothing's changing, then I have to like really start to dig deep and say, okay, let's actually be real honest with ourselves here. And I think that that's the most important piece is honesty, the confidence that you have to show up for yourself, regardless of, what things look like, and that it's never starting over. It's just taking that first step.
Yeah. Oh, I love revisiting the goal and the why. It really does evolve over time. And I think that's where some motivation can ebb and flow. If your why's changed, but you're not conscious of it, you're like, well, I don't really care about that anymore. Why am I not motivated? It's like, I don't really care. Like, even for me, I don't care so much about how I look in a bikini. I'm like, but I want my energy. I want my energy. I want this to be something that uplifts my life. Like, that's my pull now. I mean, did the strategies make my body look great? Yeah, but that's actually not my why. It's just kind of a bonus. And again, like, I just feel rude. But hey, I put in the work to understand the strategies that move the needle. So
Exactly.
So any last things you want to say?
I think just leaving it with, it's not you have to, it's not that you need to, it's that you get to. I think that we all get into our heads and we forget our ability to just show up for ourselves, and we get very stuck on checking something off or having to do something or the obligations or life or being pulled in a million directions. But if you think about it as I get to move my body, I get to fuel my body, I get to feel better, have that capability, because I think when we look at the grand scheme of things, not everybody has that ability. And so if you are in that position to be able to make a change in one aspect or all aspects, then it's I get to, not I have to. And I think that we forget that when we get into our so deep into our daily life that we forget to come up for air and actually see what is available to us. And while I am a coach and I say that, so I try not to say this too lightly, coaching hands down has, like, coaches need coaches. They hands down, you know, it is game changer when it comes to just trying to come up for that breath of air, make a change, having somebody in your corner to push you, to hold you accountable, to give you what you need so it's less decisions on your plate so that you can say, I get to show up for myself. And that's the most important piece.
Thank you for that reframe. It's such an enlightening way to look at it. And sometimes I'll even do that on the daily where I'm like, ugh, workout. And I think, you know what I get to do in my workout? I get to have so many moments of stretching between my sets. And I'm going to listen to my favorite songs and I'm going to be away from everybody and be a weirdo.
Exactly.
It's like really, I've over time have learned to make those healthy things fill me up more than just checking a box. It's like it really, you can create more of an ROI when you have the right frame around it. And it will create that pull. It just lightens it up. Thank you. Like it really can feel so heavy in this check box, but it's like, actually, we get to. Like my dad had Parkinson's disease for the past few years before he passed away, and like literally in a wheelchair
Mm-hmm.
and couldn't even cook his own food, you
Yep.
know? And it's really eye-opening. Thank you for the frame. All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Lindsay. And thank you to everybody listening. Would love to hear if you're on the replay, one thing that resonated, one thing you want to take away. And then if you ever have questions, you can find me on Instagram. It's at its.jessicajoy. And we have freebies. We have all kinds of things to support your journey because we want you to win. Obviously, we're in your corner. That's why we show up. Like, this is soul driven work. This is like, and we know how to help you and we genuinely care and we will get the job freaking done if you're willing to lean into that edge and
Yep.
continue to show up for yourself. All right. So, all the love. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you
Everybody,
for having me.
absolutely. All right. Bye.